Hi everyone, it is Trucker Ray. Welcome to my channel if you're viewing for the very first time. For the last 6 years, I have shared my experiences driving the highways of Canada and the USA, and just recently decided to get out of the trucking industry. Hence the reason why I'm making this video. And for those of you that have been here before, regular subscribers, it's nice to have you guys viewing once again. I also wanted to share with you too that I will be continuing videos. Not quite sure how I'm going to do them, but I will be providing some interesting stuff for you guys. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because I have a lot of viewers that are either studying for their Class 1 or CDL or Class A license, or just received them, or thinking about getting into the industry. And the reason why I'm making this video, it's not necessarily to warn people, but one of the main reasons why I got out of trucking is because I was in a reefer division with the company I was with. The company I was with was great. Good people running the company. Unfortunately, that line of business, it's just not for me. And I know some of you might think, well, you could go into dry van and you can still keep trucking. The problem with that is, and the reason why I've decided to at least put a halt on it for a while, I don't know how long, it could be permanent, I don't know. The Highway 1 between Vancouver, or should I say from Kamloops, to Lake Louise, they've got construction everywhere all along that highway. And with all the construction, with the campers and all the tourists, it's a nightmare driving that highway in the summertime. And it's a nightmare driving it in the wintertime, so you can't really win. But the reason why I'm making this video is I'm reaching out to those of you that are about to get your license, or you just have received your commercial license. And I think it's only fair. I mean, if I would have looked up on YouTube and found some videos of people warning me what I should get into and what I shouldn't get into, I may have made some better choices. I might have made some better decisions on what I want to do. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not condemning the reefer business or the reefer divisions with these trucking companies. Some people like it, other people don't like it. I, personally, am not the type of person to sit around long lengths of time. I get very tired, I get very, very grumpy. I gotta be moving, I gotta be doing something. And some people might say, oh, pull up into the loading dock and read a book. I'm not a book reader. The only book I like to read is the Bible. I'm not a movie person either. I don't like to sit there endless hours and watch movies. I like to be doing something constructive with myself. So, spending a year and a half in the reefer business was surprising that I lasted that long. And if you are getting into the trucking industry, or you've just received your commercial license, I think it's only fair that someone would tell you what you're in for if you're being hired on with a company that does do reefer. Now, the example I'm going to give you pretty well sums it all up. I had a load from Delta, I brought it to Calgary, that was fine. Then I had to go pick up a load in Brooks, Alberta. I was told on the phone by the people at the meatpacking plant that the load was in the dock and it should be loaded up by today. So I made my way down there. Turns out that the load was ready, but I had to wait 36 hours for paperwork to get it, I guess, inspected. So 36 hours later, I finally got out of there. Made my way over the border, had to go to another inspection, in on the other side of the border in the US. And finally, I'm on my way. 1,500 miles of driving, I'm happy as a clam. I get to California, did my delivery at 1:30 p.m. on a Sunday, and then now I'm like, okay, I'm not receiving any pre-plan, like what's happening here? So my dispatch said, fine, go get the trailer washed out, and head on down to a truck stop and we'll let you know what's going on. I sat there for 2 days, almost 48 to 50 hours I waited to find out what I was going to get. And then I received my pre-plan. 5 picks. Mixed vegetables, cauliflower, spinach, kale, all from different farms within a 100-mile radius. I spent 2 days with probably each place I went to go pick to get loaded up. I sat in their loading dock probably, I think the most shortest time was like an hour and a half. The other times were like hours and hours. I had a pick that was at 9 p.m. I didn't get out of there until 1:30 in the morning. And I don't do very well when I miss out on sleep. The next day I'm extremely tired. And that's normally when you go to sleep, at least 11 o'clock. But the problem is that you're in these loading docks for so long, and I had to go find out what was going on. And the guy says, well, your load is ready. Then where is it? They're still picking it. Then how can it be ready if they're still picking it? And this is what goes on with these places that you pick up the produce and the vegetables. And there's just so many, there's so many different variables on. You're going to have to sit in the loading dock for 5 hours. Oh, they're still picking it. Oh, you're here too early. We don't have your stuff. You're going to have to come back. That's happened before too. I never had any of these issues when I did dry van. I didn't have any of these issues when I was with Challenger and even Transx. There was a lot of waiting around because there was a lot of confusion running around with some of these planners. But there was never waiting around for the product. So the bottom line is, if you like movies, you like watching a lot of movies, if you like reading, a lot of reading, if you like sleeping a lot, hey, the reefer business might be for you. But if you're the type of person that has to be moving or doing something, maybe you can hang around for a couple hours, but get back to it again, then I would strongly think twice about getting into the reefer business, because there's a lot of waiting around. Right now, I'm sitting in Langley. I've got hired on with another job, a local job, and I'm out of the business because of, and I love trucking. I really did enjoy it. But it was enough for me to say, I can't take this anymore. You just can't. You don't get compensated either. You don't get paid by the hour. These companies will not pay you by the hour. A lot of the time they say, well, if you're in a loading dock longer than 2 hours, let us know and you'll be compensated. That's never happened. And I mean, no matter what company it is, maybe there's a special company out there that will pay you for sitting in a loading dock, but a lot of the time they don't. But I'm guessing if you're there past 2 hours, maybe the company might be billing the customer because you're sitting there so long, because the truck's not moving. The wheel's got to be turning to pay for the vehicle. So, unfortunately, the truck drivers, they really do get, the short end of the stick. When I was in California, my last trip, and I was at all these loading areas and all these farms, and all you could see is all these trucks in the staging area, all waiting to come over and get loaded. I just felt so bad. A lot of these companies, I'm not going to name them, but a lot of companies, the ones that receive your goods, the ones that ship or that you ship from or out of, they don't really care too much about the driver. You're a number. Unfortunately, it's true. A couple of the places I walked up to them, I walked up to the window, said, hi, how are you? What's your number? Not a smile, no nothing. Unfortunately, we are a kind of a number out there. And a lot of companies, a lot of businesses, even the truck stops, they don't have the regard or the consideration for the truck drivers out there. The drivers out there deserve a lot more respect, because it's a lot of work. You may think, they just sit on their butt all day and drive. No, it's a lot of work. You're dealing with crazy drivers. You're dealing with regulation after regulation. There's a lot of waiting going around. It also could be very, very lonely out there, especially when you're stuck at a truck stop for like 45 hours. And what's the only thing to do? You can't go anywhere because you can't drop your trailer. And if you drive with the trailer, you're now on duty. So the only thing to do is hang out at the truck stop. And a lot of these truck stops in the U.S. have casinos. So you're sitting around, you are losing money and spending money. And I found that I probably spent close to $75 or $100 American every week being down there. Because you run out of food. You sit down there for like 50 hours, 60 hours, now you're out of food. There's no Walmarts nearby, or you can get access to. So what's the next thing? You got to buy your food at a truck stop. And it gets very expensive because a lot of these places, they really do nickel and dime you to death. So I'm not trying to be a downer, and I'm not trying to tell people, hey, the trucking industry is not good. Maybe I'd like to say that I really wish these businesses, the companies that hire the drivers, and these farms and these receivers and shippers and even the truck stops would have a little bit more compassion and a little bit more understanding of what the truck drivers have to go through out there, because it's very monotonous. From October to March, we're dealing with terrible weather conditions, and in the summertime, we're dealing with tourists and campers and sitting in places for long lengths of time. And a lot of the time, these new trucks too, the one I was driving, the Freightliner, there was always something going wrong with the APU unit. So the air conditioning unit wasn't working half the time, or this isn't working, or that's not working. They just don't build trucks like they used to either. So the truck drivers have to deal with a lot. You don't see it. You see a truck driving by, but you have no idea what's going on in that poor guy's head. How long has it been since he's seen his family? What problems is he dealing with in his truck? Is he having financial issues? A lot of the time, these truck drivers feel like they're a prisoner in their own truck because it's such a pain in the butt transferring from one company to another. It's extremely monotonous, especially when you've been living out of your truck, even for 6 months, and now you've got all the stuff in your truck, and now for you to go from this truck to another company, now you got to go through orientation, drug tests, WMIS, all this stuff, orientation, and a lot of the time you don't get a lot of money for that. You're lucky if you get, the last company I was with, orientation, I think I got $100 or $50 a day or something. That's nothing. So it really is a big deal when you are transferring companies. So a lot of the time, the drivers will just decide to stay and put up with it until it gets to the point where they just can't take it anymore. And that's kind of where it led with me. The part that makes me a little sad is that when I did give my notice, nobody even talked to me or said anything to me until the day after my truck was cleaned out. I had 3 people call me asking me to come back. And I'm like, my truck's been cleaned out. I've already made the decision. I've already moved on. I've already went for another job interview. And, it was nice that they called to say, can you come back? But it was a little late. So I just wanted to make this video to try to encourage you guys. If you are getting into the industry, I'll tell you something right now. A Class 1, Class A, commercial license, commercial license, once you've got that, you'll always have a job. You'll always have a job. Everyone's looking for truck drivers. Pickup or garbage companies, Class 1, Class 3, dump truck drivers, city work, whatever. You get your commercial license with your air, you are set. And I really strongly recommend doing it because it's a good industry. There will always be a job for somebody with a commercial license. But I just want to encourage you to thoroughly pay attention to what the company offers. If you maybe you might enjoy just traveling to all these different farms in California and around the US and sitting for long lengths of time. Maybe you'll enjoy that. If that's for you, go for it. Because there's definitely a shortage of drivers for that industry because there's so much waiting around. But you don't get paid for sitting around, though. That's the problem. You're paid when the wheels are turning. Unless your company pays you very well, 50, 60 cents a mile, hey, then it's kind of worth sitting around a little bit. When you're getting like 45, 46, or 44 cents a mile, it's just not worth it. It really isn't. So, again, not to be negative, but I'm being honest with you. This is why I'm out of the industry, because there was so much waiting. It just got to the point where I'm spending 3 weeks at a time out on the highway so I can try to roll my hours so I can make enough money to pay bills. I averaged it out. 70 hours a week. I was making, on an average, $12.50 an hour. Most people only work 40 hours a week. The truck drivers out there, 70 hours a week. And most of us average $12.50 an hour. And that's by being out on the road that long. So you're without your family for 3 weeks at a time, and you're rolling your hours just so you can make ends meet. Now, if you're in the drive-in business, you're probably going pin to pin, pin to pin. Now you're making some money. I made more money with the last company I was with because it was pin to pin. There wasn't a waiting going around. Instead of sitting there in the middle of the week waiting 40 to 50 hours for a load, I've already done a rounder. And that, that makes a big difference, especially if you are wanting to save some money. So that's my encouragement for you guys, that you guys and gals out there that are looking to get into this industry, or you're just receiving your license. Be very, very careful on the company that you're getting hired on. A lot of these recruiters will tell you what you want to hear. They'll promise you this and they'll promise you that. Oh, I was listening to this video on YouTube, and this one driver said that there's a lot of waiting going on in the reefer business. A recruiter might say, oh yeah, it's not like that all the time, no. And we do compensate you if you're sitting there too long. Well, I was told that too, and that never happened, with a couple other companies and that. So, and there's one thing that I don't like doing. I don't like asking for money. I think it should be automatic. If you sit in a loading dock, even an hour past your appointment time. I'm talking about your appointment time. Not that you showed up early. That's a different story. But an appointment time, the driver should be compensated for his time. Everyone else in the office is getting paid by the hour. Why shouldn't the driver be compensated? And if that would have happened, I'd still be driving right now. But that doesn't happen. And I'm not just saying with previous company, that a lot of companies will not do that. If I was to take a poll and ask all those truck drivers sitting at all those loading docks, how much are they getting paid to sit here? The only guys that probably would say, oh, I am, is the city guys. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of the owner-operators are working in the city, because they get paid by the hour. Anyway, there you go. There you have it. Just wanted to give you guys some information on a little bit more in depth on why I came off the highway. Feel free, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to put out another video and answer them for you if you would like. For those of you that are getting into the industry or thinking about it, if you want to leave me a comment below, I'll be more than happy to answer it just from the knowledge what I've learned. I mean, I'm not Mr. Super Trucker. I've only been doing it for 6 years, but I would like to say I've learned a few things, and I'd be happy to share that and pass that along to you if you're just getting into the industry yourself. So God bless you all in the name of Yeshua. Until next time, bye for now.